Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with Batman Superman #3. And, I'm kind of glad that I took time off from this series because I've mentioned it when I reviewed Dark Knight's Death Metal, and of course the first issue of this book, is I was completely burned out with that whole arc. Like I said with the Death Metal and these events, they should have stretched this out over like a year or two instead of it was wham, bam, 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 bam. Because they did the Batman Who Laughs, 7 books, and that was phenomenal. They should have just taken a break at that. But they just kept going and going and going. And at the time, I was just too burned out and didn't care. Now I've come back a few years later. This was relatively entertaining. As we went through the last issue, we saw Batman and Superman fighting against an infected Shazam, which was absolutely epic. And then, spoiler alert, if you have not seen that review or read this book, go pick it up. Well, wait a minute. Now you're back. What happens is the way Batman and Superman want to get inside the mind of the one who laughs is Superman just goes out and flat out infects himself with the batarang that was meant for him so that he can go undercover to find out what the intentions of the one who laughs all about. Now, with that said, let's dive into this opening panel, which, how do I put this? From where Joshua Williamson pulled it from, and how it works in this narrative is actually really interesting. So Bruce says, ever since I put on the cowl, I have used fear as a tool. But to use your fears, I must know your secrets. So over the years, I've studied my friends, families, and allies. To prepare for worst-case scenarios in this world, I've searched for weaknesses for strengths, invaded privacy in the name of justice. I tell myself I must do these things because only I can be trusted with this knowledge. But when you boil it right down, what I do is a betrayal of trust. My actions have led me to this moment. And then this is where we see the Batman Who Laughs and Superman. Now, to put this in context, what Bruce is talking about at the beginning, I believe it was back in the mid-90s. I think it was Mark Waid. I think he was the writer. He did an arc called The Tower of Babel. And what happens is Ra's al Ghul gets a hold of all these, these countermeasures that Bruce has and uses it against the Justice League. And because of it, the League actually talks about wanting to kick Batman out because of the betrayal of trust. Bruce didn't see it at the time, so I like how Williamson, when he's writing it here, Bruce is starting to see the pros and cons of what he's done and ultimately what it does to other people that see him as an ally and as a friend. Now, there's more to it. We'll get into it in a minute, but let's talk about who made this book. This is Who Are the Secret Six? Joshua Williamson, writer. David Marquez, artist. Alejandro Sanchez, colors. John J. Hill, letterer. Marquez and Sanchez, cover. And then here's everyone else working on the book. Batman was created by Bill Finger with Bob Kane. Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. So essentially what happens here is this is supposed to be Superman breaking the one who laughs out of the Justice League because he's sitting under the Hall of Justice. And, the one who laughs here wants to pick up a few of the doomsday devices that the League has collected over the years. And what I like is how Superman, you can see how the virus is starting to affect him. He goes, how about we go upstairs and kill everyone in the Hall of Justice? And our Bruce is like, you're playing the part too well, Clark. Too soon, Boy Scout. The heroes above have a much larger role to play. What are your plans? Shazam didn't say. And so he goes into talk about what his infected plan to do. And I love this because this actually shows the strength of character that Clark is. He goes, where does he say? Hold on, I lost it. Just like your mother died when Krypton exploded. Do you wonder what she was thinking in those final moments? What she wished it was her in that rocket instead of you? Could your baby ears hear her screams? This world will perish exactly like yours did. You know, except your dead mommy and daddy won't be there to save you. Just like you won't be there to save John and Lois. Hilarious, right? Beat. I love that. Just the tonal change of how Clark looked from smiling here to just a beat. Sometimes that's all you need. Just that, oh shit moment. And you see Batman. Our Batman is gone. And he just goes off. That's it, Clark. Give in to your true self. And of course, an ad. And of course, here's where our Bruce comes in. That's enough. And the artwork just really helps push this narrative. You know, just seeing Superman with his eyes darkened, just taking that beat of processing what the Batman Who Laughs just said. And Bruce knowing that things have gone too far. Now, Superman here doesn't think that Batman trusts him. But it's actually the inverse to that, and we'll get into that here in a moment. What I like is how the Batman Who Laughs doesn't exactly reveal who the infected are, but he's like, I don't need to shine their names in the sky. And here's where Bruce puts 2 and 2 together, find out that it's Gordon. Well, well, well. And Bruce is like, Jim, whatever he's done to you, I can help. You can trust me. And I just, again, the artwork pushing the narrative, blackened eyes to show that this isn't Jim Gordon anymore. Because you're my friend, all you've ever done is hurt me. Since the day you got here, Gotham has fallen deep into ruin. You're a failure to this city. And I like how it gives Bruce pause, just like, and then we get to see the commissioner. You know how many people I've had to bury because of the hell you've created in Gotham? How many good cops have died because of you? How many more Robins must die before you give up? And it just, you know, it really hits some very poignant moments. And then, of course, after that, we get some great action. I like how Williamson here reintroduces the armored bat suit that Gordon wore when Bruce died and came back from the, what was it, the Batnesium, all the metals, but anyway. And I like how Jim, once he's finally been outed as one of the operatives, dons this mask and just kind of becomes this otherworldly being with this metal mask on. It just gives that sense of other and just removes all traces of the warm Jim Gordon that we all know. It's just a very poignant use of the artwork with the story, and how Gordon here, you know, always an ally to Bruce, says, so much for the world's greatest detective. Now there's some things that happen, and what I want to go back to is when Superman says, don't you trust me? Bruce essentially says, hold on, where is it? It's actually the next page over here. He goes, I can take it to the Batcave, talking about the armored Batman suit. And he goes, no. We tried your plan with the Joker toxin and it got us Gordon. Maybe this is how we finally beat him. I need to stop thinking like me, or even thinking like him, and ask myself, what would Superman do? And some things happen, you know, you think that's a really good idea because this way it takes Batman out of his wheelhouse and starts to think like how Clark does when he's trying to take down something without the help of the Justice League. And that leads us to the Scarab. And yeah, what Jamie does here, it's pretty brutal. The one thing that I will say that put me off about this book as I'm reading through it, you know, is Bruce is talking. I'll go back here in a second, but what pisses me off, where is it? Hold on. Here. It shows the Scarab taking over all the technology. And you see Alfred, and you're like, Alfred! But it says, these events take place before Batman 77. If you don't know what Batman 77 is, Batman 77 is a load of bullshit. That was during the He Who Shall Not Be Named run, and Bane essentially snaps Alfred's neck right in front of Damian. Absolute useless, bullshit, senseless death. So I hate that they had to include this and then get our hopes up and then drop us with that craptacular book. Anyway, okay. Going back to what I'm talking about here with Jamie. Sorry, I had to get that I had to point that out because that pissed me off. So if you remember at the beginning of the book when Bruce is talking about the invasion of privacy, what he's done to his friends and allies, here is the inverse, the Batman who laughs. Ever since I put on the cowl, I've used fear as a weapon. Studied what it does to people, how people act out of fear, and how I can use it to take out anyone in my own way. And I thought that was very poignant, the way that they kind of use those as bookends for this comic, because it shows what our Bruce Wayne does compared to what this dark, infected version uses it for. Just a very interesting way. And I think that's why I like the Batman Who Laughs. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, oh, he's overused, blah, 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 blah. I like it because he's kind of become this ultimate villain for Bruce, because they think alike, except this one has no moral compass. He's infected by the Joker, so he also has that madness and wild card about him. And I think that's what I find most interesting about it. The problem with me is he's not a bad character. He just, during this era, was overused. Like, it was just book. It's like, guys, it's take 5, chill out. And just use him sparingly like you would regularly the Joker. So with that said, Superman number 3, definitely an excellent read, guys. Highly recommend it. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if they have a copy. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little bat bell next to subscribe, that way as we can continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your feedback and just chatting with y'all down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.